I was kidnapped under the guise of a job offer and made to work on a large church structure using human parts. Please, be vigilant. Always let someone know where you are going. Beware of job offers that seem too easy, and most importantly, beware of churches you do not know the source of. Not every altar is holy. I am a builder, and one day I got a call from my old friend Kola, who lives in Lagos. He told me about an enticing job opportunity. A big construction company was urgently looking for skilled workers. According to him, the pay was good and there were chances for long-term work. I was excited. I had been waiting for a breakthrough like this. This is a big opportunity for me, I said to myself as I packed a small bag and boarded the next available bus from Ibadan to Lagos. The journey was long and noisy, but my mind was filled with hope and possibilities. I imagined sending money back home to my wife, Chika, and finally fixing the leaking roof of our one-bedroom house. When I arrived at the location Kola gave me, it was a street in the outskirts of Lagos, quiet, dusty, and lined with old buildings. I dialed the number he gave me. A man answered and redirected me to another location, not too far away. Kola's number is not going through, I muttered as I tried to call him again. Still unreachable. I stood by the roadside for a few minutes, uncertain, but something pushed me forward. I couldn't afford to let fear win. I followed the directions and arrived at what looked like an abandoned warehouse. The walls were cracked, the gate was rusty, and weeds grew all around. It didn't look like the office of a construction firm, but there was a large white bus parked in front. I called the number again. The same voice answered. "You're at the right place. Enter the bus. Someone will attend to you shortly." That was strange. I had expected to walk into an office, fill out a form, maybe even be interviewed. I didn't understand why I needed to enter a bus. My instincts were screaming, but my desperation silenced them. Still, I decided to be cautious. Before stepping in, I quickly sent a text message to Chika. I told her my location, included the bus's number plate and the phone number of the man I had been talking to. I didn't know why I did it, but something about the situation felt off. I said a silent prayer, clutched my bag, and climbed into the bus. Inside were a few other men, maybe 5 or 6. Some looked like me, others looked much younger. They didn't speak. Some stared blankly ahead, while others looked like they were half asleep. I tried to ask the man beside me a question, but he didn't respond. He just nodded off with his head against the window. Before I could think of what to do next, the doors shut with a loud bang and the bus zoomed off. I panicked. "Hey, wait, what's going on?" I shouted, but no one responded. My heart pounded in my chest. I turned to another man who had his head bowed. "Brother, where are we going?" No answer. I reached into my pocket for my phone to call Chika again, but before I could do anything, my eyelids started to feel heavy. My breathing slowed. It was as though something was pulling me into sleep. I fought it, but I couldn't resist. My body gave up. When I woke up, I was no longer in the bus. I was lying on a mat in a dark room that smelt of dampness and sweat. The walls were made of rough concrete, and there were no windows, just a tiny bulb hanging from the ceiling. Around me were other men, all in the same condition, confused, scared, and silent. I stood up quickly, my legs trembling. "Where am I?" I whispered. Nobody answered. Some of the men looked too dazed to talk. My first instinct was to find my phone, but my pockets were empty. My bag was gone too. I was dressed only in the clothes I wore the day before. Everything else had been taken. I stumbled to the door, but it was locked from the outside. Panic gripped me. My heart raced. I banged the door and shouted, but nothing happened. "Somebody help! Anybody!" I screamed until my throat went dry. One of the men finally spoke, his voice low and broken. "We're all trapped here, brother. I don't know how long I've been here. They come in the night, they take people, no one knows where they go." I sat on the cold floor, my head spinning. Kidnapped? How is this possible? I asked myself. My thoughts went to Chika. Had she seen my message? Would she raise an alarm? Or would I just vanish like dust in the wind, forgotten? The door creaked. Heavy footsteps approached, and a tall man in a dark green tunic stepped in. His eyes scanned the room with an unnatural calmness. We all turned toward him, our faces pale with confusion and fear. The man raised a hand to signal quiet. "Gentlemen," he began, his voice smooth and too controlled. "I understand you're all confused, maybe even scared, but please relax. You are not in danger, so long as you cooperate. You have been brought here to work. You will be paid handsomely. That's all." Someone near the back muttered, "Then why bring us here like prisoners?" The man ignored the question. "The location of this project must remain unknown. That's why we picked you up the way we did. Security reasons, you understand." He clapped his hands twice. 2 guards brought in bowls of rice and meat stew, placing them on the floor in front of us. My stomach churned. I hadn't eaten since yesterday morning, but my mouth went dry at the sight of the food. I managed only 2 spoonfuls before my gut twisted. I dropped the bowl. After a few minutes, we were led outside. What we saw made many of us freeze. The entire place was surrounded by high walls, covered in barbed wire. But beyond the walls stood a massive construction site. Piles of cement bags, iron rods, and scaffolding were everywhere. Right in front was the skeleton of a colossal building. The structure had the shape and outlines of what I instantly recognized a mega church. Confused, I whispered to the man next to me, "Why the secrecy? It's a church." He didn't answer. None of us could. Then the same man who spoke earlier returned with a rolled-up blueprint in hand. He opened it and showed us detailed drawings of the building's support pillars. But something was terribly wrong. Each pillar was designed to have human body parts embedded into them. Real parts. Heads, arms, legs. "Your job," he said coldly, "is to prepare these molds. The flesh will be provided. Your task is to blend them into the concrete so that they last forever." There was a moment of eerie silence. Then chaos broke out. God forbid. We are not animals. Several men shouted in protest. Some tried to back away. One of the younger men, a slim, soft-spoken boy who couldn't have been more than 20, took a step forward and shouted, "You people are mad! We are not doing this!" Without hesitation, a guard pulled out a shotgun from his belt and shot him in the head. The sound of the gunshot rang through the air like thunder. The boy collapsed immediately, blood pouring onto the dirt. I froze. My knees buckled. Others screamed. A few fell to the ground, begging. The man looked at us again, eyes empty. "This is the reality. If you cooperate, you live. If you don't, you die. It's that simple." I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But my legs didn't obey. My brain couldn't make sense of it all. Was this some cult? Was this real? I cried silently, my lips trembling. The rest of us, broken and terrified, were marched to the mixing area. With trembling hands, I began to work. I shoveled sand. I mixed cement. My eyes burned with tears as I saw a man carry a box filled with something I refused to believe was human remains. But the stench told me the truth. I could feel evil in the air. Each time I scooped the mix, I whispered a prayer. God forgive me. I never wanted this. After hours of grueling labor, we were told to line up. The man returned, holding a tablet in his hand. Each of you has been credited 250,000 Nara today. You may not have your phones now, but they will be returned to you after the project is complete. None of us cheered. None of us cared. What use was money soaked in blood? That night, I returned to the darkroom and curled up on the floor. I didn't eat. I didn't speak. I just prayed. God, if you hear me, please save me. But nothing happened. The next day followed the same pattern. We woke, we worked, we watched others die. If anyone coughed too much, they were taken outside and never returned. We quickly learnt. No weakness, no resistance. 2 weeks passed like this. I was still alive, but not the same. Back at home in Ibadan, Chika had begun to break. She sat on the floor of their small house, her eyes red from crying. She had tried calling my number every day, but it never rang. She reached out to Kola, but his phone was switched off too. She visited his house in Lagos. He was gone, just like me. Worried, she went to the police station. "My husband is missing," she said. The officer barely looked up. "How long?" 2 weeks. He finally glanced at her. "Maybe he's with another woman. You people always jump to conclusions." Chika's voice cracked. "No, my husband is not like that. He left home for work. He sent me a message, his location and a number." "Madam," the officer sighed, "unless you have money to mobilize our men, we can't help you now. We are busy." She left the station in tears, but determined. "If they won't help, I will do it myself," she whispered. Chika sat at the edge of their bed, her hands trembling as she held her phone. She took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and hit record. "My name is Chika. My husband David has been missing for over 2 weeks. He left Ibadan for a job in Lagos, and that was the last time I saw him. He sent me one final message, his location, a number, and a bus plate. Since then, nothing. His phone has been off. Please, I'm begging, if anyone knows anything or has seen anything, reach out. I don't want to say too much online, but I just need help." She posted the video on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp status. At first, it got little attention, but later that evening, a popular Lagos-based blog picked it up. Within hours, it was everywhere. Other blogs began sharing it, resharing her video with headlines like, "Wife seeks missing husband after job offer in Lagos turns suspicious," and "Another man missing. Could it be ritual-linked construction scam?" Soon, messages began flooding in. Strangers with similar stories, people who had lost siblings, friends and sons in similar circumstances. A few gave details of locations that matched what Chika had received. One woman, Auntie Nene, a social advocate known for helping victims of trafficking, reached out. She asked to meet with Chika. When they met, Chika gave her everything: David's last message, the contact number, the bus plate, and her full testimony. Auntie Nene listened carefully, then said, "We'll find him, but we need to expose this." She took the case to her popular TV talk show, Voices of the Missing. David's photo was shown side by side with the message he sent and a map of the general area he had last been seen. On live television, she looked straight into the camera and said, "To whoever is behind this, release him. We know something evil is happening, and we will not keep quiet. If you do not return him, we will expose everything." Back at the construction site, the rest of us continued working. The routine had become mechanical. Mix the cement, wait for the body parts to arrive, then mold the pillars under strict supervision. I tried not to think. I tried not to feel. The guilt alone was enough to bury me. But one evening, something happened that shattered whatever numbness remained in my soul. A bus arrived, dust trailing behind its tires. The guards opened the doors, and what we saw made our hearts shatter. Chained together, blindfolded, and barefoot were dozens of people. Men, women, teenagers. Some limped, some were crying. All looked like they had been kidnapped and were too weak to resist. My stomach churned. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. These weren't workers. They were sacrifices. The realization struck hard. This wasn't just a church. It was an altar built on horror. I wished I could run. I wished I had the courage to scream, but my legs were stiff with fear. Anyone who disobeyed was killed, and I didn't want to die, not yet. Then, everything changed. The following morning, a loud shout echoed through the compound. One of the men had seen something on a small contraband radio. It was a news report. My face was on television, my name, my story, my wife, the blog stories, the show. My message had reached the outside world. Within hours, one of the head guards called me into a dim office. "You stupid man," he hissed. "You left a trail." They beat me until my eyes were nearly swollen shut. I could barely breathe. Then they made me drink a bitter, thick liquid. I thought it was poison. I thought that was the end. With my head pounding and my ribs aching, I whispered a final prayer in my heart. God, if you're still with me, please save me. I didn't come here to die. I just wanted to build. I just wanted to provide. Darkness took over. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the side of a quiet road near a bushy path. Morning sunlight filtered through the trees. My wallet was beside me. So was my phone, fully charged. My body hurt all over, but I was alive. With trembling hands, I called my wife. "Chica, it's me. I'm alive." She screamed. She cried. She prayed. "Where are you?" A passerby, a kind elderly man who had seen me, helped me get to the nearest motor park. Chica sent transport fare. I boarded a bus back to Ibadan, my heart heavy with everything I had seen, everything I had been forced to do. When I arrived, she ran into my arms and we both collapsed into tears. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered. "You saved me," I replied. "You and God." That night, I told her everything. The job that turned into a trap, the building site that was supposed to be a church but was built with blood, the people, the killings, the kidnapped victims. "I don't even know where the site is," I said. "They moved us around, but I'm sure it's on hectares of land and it's a massive auditorium." We sat in silence for a while. Then I looked into the camera and made one final video. "My name is David. I am a builder. I was kidnapped under the guise of a job offer and made to work on a large church structure using human parts. Please, Nigerians, be vigilant. Always let someone know where you are going. Beware of job offers that seem too easy, and most importantly, beware of churches you do not know the source of. Not every altar is holy. It was time for the truth to speak louder than fear.